fight fans, welcome back for another episode of The Real and the Rare. This is actually a special episode, little Knucklemania 6 Postmortem with my boy, big boy, Chris Jensen. A lot of crazy stuff happened this weekend. We want to kind of digest all of it, go through all of it. There's also some other stuff that happened in combat sports over the last few days that we definitely have to break down, talk about, and get into it. But first, as always, Chris, appreciate your time this morning. We all got crazy busy lives, so appreciate everything. And before we get into it, obviously, what I do for each one of these episodes is to give our sponsor some love. And this episode is brought to you by Fight Wax. Fight Wax is the ultimate skin defense for athletes and active members. Helps with abrasions, cuts, bruising. Can help with recovery. It's also good for people with skin disorders like psoriasis and things of that nature. They're about to drop the Fight Wax soap for your bar soap for your everyday use, and they also have stuff for the pets as well, which is another big thing, especially if you're a bully owner. You know exactly what we're talking about. You gotta prevent the dogs from gnawing on themselves half the time. So make sure you're checking out Fight Wax. The website officially launched this week, and make sure you're using that code down below, South 15 FW, when you're placing your orders. Show us all some love and show Fight Wax some love. What's up, brother? How you feeling this morning, my friend?
Oh, I'm so much better. It took a couple days to get over the whole Philly trip, but
Yeah, you had a rough go of it. Like I said, we'll go into some things. We don't need to go into everything and rehash the whole thing. But unfortunately, you were going to be there for some reason. You were going to do media, and then literally, life just said, "Okay, we're gonna throw you a little curveball here, big boy. Let's see how you deal with this." And such is life. But I'm glad you're in a better headspace after everything that kind of went on. You know what I mean? As I told you, when everything was going down, would love to have you here. Would love to have been able to do media with you and everything like that. But your mental well-being is more important than any type of content that we would have shot that weekend. So.
Yeah, this weekend gave me a hard but necessary reminder that people change. You know what I mean? And in combat sports, we talk a lot about toughness, heart, grit, but we don't talk about enough is the cost of repetitive trauma to the head. It doesn't affect, it affects the reaction time, it affects the chin durability, but it also changes people's personality shift, impulse control erodes. Emotional irregulation breaks down. Anger comes faster. Reasons leave sooner. And sometimes the person you knew 4 years ago is not the person standing in front of you today. So I've watched it happen. I've lived it close enough to where I know the constant punishment hurts the brain. I know when to get myself out of trouble. I know when to run, and I know when to hide, and I know when to fold them, and I know when to run. So I wanted to. I loved being there in Philly. The way everyone treated me, from you to everyone that was there, I gotta be honest, I definitely felt the city of brotherly love this week. I was only there for 24 hours, but the embracement, the care for my well-being from the people that of Philly, including yourself. You look at you got my package for me from the sponsor. You're repping Kaizen. That it was just a very exciting weekend. But man, I have to tell you, thank you so much for that hospitality. I want to shout out to the people of
You only
Philadelphia.
got a little bit of it. Like, everyone talks about, Phil, we're these nasty, mean, rude,
No.
ignorant people. No, we're not. You give us a reason to, we will be. But if you show us love, we show you love. It doesn't matter if you're an opposing fan, whatever. You're respectful for us. We're respectful. Listen, we all have our point of views, but next time we come back, we'll get you a proper cheesesteak. We'll hit the art museum steps. We'll go see Rocky. Actually, they're getting ready to put Joe Frazier's statue where they had Rocky's for the last few years. They put Rocky back at the top of the steps.
Oh wow! There's one thing I've always wanted to do, and I want to see Rocky on Broadway. That's like one of the
Oh,
biggest
actually,
things I've always wanted.
did you hear that Amazon is doing a movie?
Oh wow!
They're basically doing like what Sylvester Stallone went through to get it made, and it's called I Am Rocky, because remember, he was offered he almost had the movie shot several different times, but they kept trying to replace him as Rocky. Wouldn't do it. They kept offering crazy amounts of money. Just no, I'm Rocky. Yeah. So that became the name of this movie. And actually, big Philadelphia Eagles fan Scott Teller landed the role as Paulie, right?
Oh, wow.
And he's a freaking dead ringer of Paulie. I'm not even kidding you. It's gonna be. They actually got a theatrical release to kind of go with it too. It's supposed to be on Amazon, but it's gonna be a theatrical release. But the Broadway show is good too.
Yeah, that I got to see it. I've always wanted to. My wife's a theater teacher, so I'm big into acting. I'm big into obviously I'm on the hosting thing. I can get into character real quick, but man, I will say this. I got to get home. I got home Friday night, was able to download with the support from the guys from Shift MMA with Rick Coleman. They helped me. Chachi Versace, those some of my very close friends. Kai Stewart, they knew what time it was and they got me out of there. I'm not one to make a big scene, especially with the business ventures I have going right now. So I had to make the smart decision. I had to put you in. We had to fill you in. You had to go back in there. I know it was a little rough. I know it's kind of like guerrilla warfare media at the BKFC because they don't know where to put you. But man, you had some good interviews. You got to see some people. What was that like back there?
Like you said, like when I got there, like because we both worked media for them before on other ventures, and we were kind of allowed to go in the back. Well, when I was explained to when everything got started there, and I looked at what my credentials said, and I'm like, hey, how are we supposed to do the interviews? And they were basically just told me like you can go to the post fight press conference. I'm like, well, half the fighters are going to be gone by then, so didn't get to kind of do it the way I want to do it. Did go to the press conference, talk to Andre, talk to Crazy Horse, talk.
Oh, you better not call him Crazy Horse.
Yeah, I know we can't
call him. Pissed.
That's how I remember him though. I know he's felony now. Yo, you ain't lying. I interviewed him once after he changed his name, and I kept calling him Crazy Horse. Yo, he was getting so mad at me. So it's like one of the things in Philly, like you can't call Darius Slice anything but Slay. You call him by his first name, you gonna get the dagger eyes. And so yeah, dude, Felony was amazing at the press conference. He was absolutely hilarious. And
it was probably listen,
I'll say one thing.
Go ahead.
I had a problem with that night. Like, granted, I didn't get to do media the way I wanted to, but like we can't always have our cake and eat it too. But the thing I didn't like is just some of the Philadelphia media and content creators are in media row cheering, hollering, for the Philadelphia guys and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck are we doing? Like, listen, I'm the Philly guy too. Don't get me wrong, but you have to be neutral. You absolutely have to be neutral. You can't be sitting there screaming and hollering for it. Now, good portion of those people didn't stay to do the press conference or anything. They were just there for the fights and then they left. But there is one guy that does write for one of the papers in the area and stuff like that. And like during a Travis Thompson fight, he's sitting there like screaming, hollering Travis on during the fight with Pat and Charles. He's sitting there rooting for Pat. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like,
you gotta be neutral.
Like, it's one of these things. Like, I don't know. It's just the way I was taught when I first started coming in. Like, I'll always be a fan of the sport, and like you see a big shot, of course you're gonna be like, oh, like of course. But like you can't be sitting there screaming like, go Pat and go Lex and go. Like, you can't be doing that to the. I get it. They're our hometown boys. They're always gonna be our hometown boys. But when you put that pass on, you have to put the fan aside and there's a way you need to conduct yourself. That's why, like, a lot of times, for the most part, I don't take photos unless it's somebody like I've already known for a while. And like we've already had that rapport. We've interviewed, etc., had conversations outside of just doing that. Like, I took a picture with Britain, but I've interviewed Britain way before she even was the world champion. It was like, I think it was like her first or second fight. And like there's a couple times we just kept missing each other. Last time she was helping my kids get into the VIP area so they could meet Conor McGregor at Knucklemania 5. Yeah, like how they've roped them off.
Yeah.
So like so security's trying to stop Britain, right? And she's like, "I'm a fighter. Get the fuck out of here." Pushes my kids in here. Get a picture. Say hi. What's up? So it's like there's a lot of times where you don't get those moments, but sometimes like when I ran into her, it was the prelims, and it was just like the fights hadn't even really started yet. So took a picture with her, got one with Crystal after her fight, and she's a fucking handful, man. Did you see what she was wearing after her
Oh,
fight?
bro, I listen. Crystal is she lives here in
She's a
Tampa.
pistol, man.
Every time I see her, I think I've looked at Crystal in her eyes like in the 5 years I've known her, maybe twice. So it's not on purpose, and I love you, Crystal. It's so great, but it's always an accident. It's just like, hey, oh my God, hi, Crystal, it's you, And I love her so much. I've seen her from the beginning all the way to the end, and that's you're talking about that media, and the credentials and all that, and it was about BKFC 19, 18 or 19 that they started getting real strict and not letting media back in the back. And I think I'm gonna go out on a limb a little bit here and say it's partially mine and Lorenzo's fault. Because Lorenzo and I were both working for Bare Knuckle News, and we were just going right where we wanted. We were just fucking going and getting people right after we beating them before the medical tent, getting interviews with people's faces hanging off. Taylor Starling. We were doing that for I'm not going to say the name, but we were doing that for another uh
Another
organization.
entity.
Yeah, another entity. So we were doing that, and I think at that time Cranston and that little blonde chick that works for BKSC were getting pissed because we were getting all the content, and that's when they put a stop and started locking people down on the media. And I hate it because the media is the heartbeat of the promotion. Now they do a good job. Evan and those guys do a great job, but they're still like you get the little tidbits. We get the tidbits. We go in and get the interviews. I think the best time to get the interviews is at weigh-ins press conference because at the fight night they're going to be it's so hard. But again, hey, these guys are there. People like Britt and Hart, they come looking for their interviews. They know their PR work has to be done. It's important. It's a lifeline of this business. And that's where it's hard for people like me to separate ourselves. And you said something that I really respect, Steve. You said that you're neutral when you're watching the fighters. You have to be. You know how hard it is for me to do that? Because these guys are all my friends. Lorenzo and Dave both came up with me through the amateurs, both got pro contracts from me. Jessica Borga, Jared Warren, all these guys came up. So when they fight each other and when they're fighting my friend, man, it is so hard sometimes. The hardest one ever for me to watch was Gian Herrera versus Abby Vasquez. They were both my friends. Rest in peace, Gian Herrera. He passed away, but they were both my friends. I had to turn my back and not watch the fight because it was that bad. But again, in media, you have to be neutral, and that's a very respectful thing that you brought up. I like
I'm
it.
gonna tell you a story, right? So when I was, this is probably 11 years ago. So this is before my kids were training down Henzo Gracie Philly, where Daniel Gracie's gym is and stuff like that. So run into a lot of the guys. I was interviewing a lot of guys there. So I was covering Cage Fury Fighting Championships and heavyweight champion Zhu was about to fight one of the Jersey guys. So it already had Zhu on and was talking to him, and he was just like, we were going back and forth about things. I was like, if I'm you, I go and try to drag him in deep waters, test his gas tank.
Mhm.
See if you can wear him down, lock a submission in, because he was kind of the bigger, longer guy. Zoo was kind of that guy that was like 220, 230, not at the heavyweight limit where Sean had to cut down. So after I did the interview, I guess Zoo came across it and started going to like NewJersey.com and writing articles about me. And then like it got around, and then this is like when my mom was first started getting sick and everything like that. So like they were like, you need to apologize to Zoo. I'm like, for what? for giving an honest take to his opponent? Like, am I supposed to be sitting there getting on both knees, blowing him off or something? Like, did I miss something?
Yeah.
Like, I don't owe nobody apologies. I wasn't disrespectful. I didn't say he was this terrible fighter. I wasn't sitting there going after his fight game, or I said drag him into deep waters.
Yeah.
Like,
He
that's
didn't
something,
like that.
that's something you just. I thought that was a hole in his game, and sure enough, when he got to the UFC, guess what? That was the hole in his game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
seen them all.
Guys, for honest takes. I'm not. I will be respectful. I'm not going to sit there and say he's fucking garbage. He's got no fucking gas tank. He's got no cardio. His boxing shit. Like, that's being disrespectful. Like, I'm never going to be one of them guys. But listen, it doesn't matter if you're my friend or not. I'm going to interview your opponent. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's why Christina Frieri don't do interviews with me anymore, because I interviewed Helen Peralta.
Oh Lord.
So I asked her for an interview after the fact, right? I think it was her first fight with Taylor Stalling. And she was like, go fucking interview Peralta. I'm like, what the fuck is your problem, dude? I'm like, I've been interviewing you since you were doing Lions fight and no one wanted to talk to you. I'm like, listen, I am neutral. I am not your friend. I'm like, if you want to be upset and you don't want to do interviews with me, fine. But don't sit there expecting me to sit there and give you glowing endorsements now and sitting there acting like you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. She is the baddest woman on the planet for all intents and purposes. But she's a mental midget.
Yeah. I did it. Listen to this one.
Take anything away for how great she is in the cage, in the ring. She's beautiful violence in there, my friend. She is.
Yep. Now listen to this one.
But as far as the personal interaction type thing, you're a mental midget. I'm sorry.
I cornered against a guy twice, and then interviewed him in the post-fight win. So I cornered Nick Villar against Dodson's brother. Dodson beat Villar. I went backstage, put my suit on, and went to doing post-fight interviews with Dodson. And in the fucking interview, I went, well, I was cornering against you. We didn't do too good. How'd that feel? And I think I did it too with Torres and Calamus. Something like that. I did that. I did way back in the day as well. But I did that a couple times, and it is hard, man. Being neutral is hard to do it, especially if you do have some kind of tie with the fighter. But again, you have to understand that that's your job, and that's what you're there to do. But this weekend's fights were crazy. I think I want to start with I just want to start right off the top. I want to start with Big Ben Arlovsky. That shit was that was fire, dude.
Yeah, it was.
The guy's head was falling off. Like, Big Ben's scalp is falling off.
There you go, right there, brother.
Arlovsky scalped this dude. Like, no offense, but I knew it was going to happen. You don't beat a man twice and think you're going to come back, and you don't lose to a man twice and think you're going to win a third time. It's just not going to happen, especially to someone like that.
Happen. Like, listen, me and you talked about this. I've talked about it on this network. Each of the last two shows I've done. It's a fucking Disney story, man, what Andrei Arlovsky's done.
Yeah.
He's a three-sport world champion. He's a Sambo world champion. He's a MMA world champion. He's a bare-knuckle world champion. He's beaten cancer 3 times, 2010, 2012, and 2025. And less than a year after his beating cancer, he becomes the bare-knuckle world champion at 47 years old. At 47 years old, right? I mean, if that's not a fucking Disney movie, what is, brother?
So wait, if he was beating cancer at that time, he was fighting dirty boxing then. I was in a locker room with him.
In remission. In remission.
Holy shit.
Not just that. Go look at his MMA career. There's not more time during that time frame. It's less than 6 months between each of his fights.
Now he beat Chase Sherman.
Even when he was beating it back then, he was still taking fights. That's what I'm talking about. That unstoppable spirit, man. Just like he has embodied the spirit of the warrior to a whole nother level, and you just can't help but smile and just be like, man, like that. That's what you want people to aspire to be. And
what is his nationality? Croatian or Russian?
Um,
Let's see. I'm gonna see what that is. Good question. I think he's Croatian. I don't know. That's Krokov. Andre Arlo, because that is a. Here we go. Arlovsky. He is. It says United States. I know he trains down there. I know he's my teammate. I'm American Top Team, and he trains down south.
yeah.
Let's see here. I want to see what his Andre Arlovsky's nationality is. Yeah, but that dude is a monster. Oh, he is a
Belarus.
Belarus. So what's Belarus? Is that
I think that's the Czech Republic, ain't it? Now, my geography might be a little off, but
the country in Europe, landlocked country in Eastern Europe? It's bordered by Russia to the east and Ukraine to the south, Poland to the west, Lithuania to the and Lithuania. Wow, so they're going through some shit up there right now. Probably
yeah,
they're
yep.
monsters. That's why they're all warriors. They're all savages. They're all Siberian savages. And that's what this guy was. And that's what he did. And I know not taking anything from Ben. At one point, I did not think Ben was going to lose the heavyweight title ever until they brought in
Especially
Arlovsky.
what he did, a year ago here at Knucklemania. And
Yep.
watch what he did his first 3 fights in there. It's like, all right, I think Ben found his sport, man. He found his niche.
Same.
And then they literally bare knuckle matchmakers like, okay, you found your niche. Well, we just found your kryptonite.
Yeah, and that's Arlovsky, and that's the Belarus, the
Styles makes
Belarusian.
fights, man. Styles makes fights, man. And he just has Ben's number. I don't know what it is.
So where do we go from there? Now Arlovsky obviously broke his hand. It looked like he broke his wrist, maybe, and a
No, I
finger.
think he said it was his when at the presser. He said it was his pinky.
Okay, so he's gonna be out at least 6 months. But I don't know about that with this
I
guy.
know your boy Hunt at the press conference said he wants to go after that heavyweight title now.
Oh, come on, man. I'm
He
sorry. I
wants
love you,
to
Lorenzo.
be a 3-weight champion so
Yeah,
bad.
maybe against Perdermo, but not against Arlovsky. Arlovsky is too fucking big, bro. Lorenzo's a big guy, and I like that. And I like Lorenzo as a heavyweight. As long as Lorenzo's a heavyweight, he's a big motherfucker. But remember, last time we made heavyweight, we weren't pissing clean. So let's talk about that. And Arlovsky's a
Yeah,
big dude.
we do have to talk about that because he didn't beat Terrell. He lost that fight, and then it cost him 18 months.
Right. So
Whatever he was doing, whether if you think he was cheating, whether you think he took supplements, whatever you think it was, it cost him 18 months.
yeah, it cost 18 months and it got a lot of ridicule. And I think heavyweight is just a little too big for him. Yes, it's easy to make heavyweight. But when you got guys like Andre who are cutting 40 pounds to
Yeah.
get to 265 and then going and eating at the Outback Steakhouse that night and being back up to 300 by the next day with pec muscles on the back shoulders. Like he has chest muscles in the back of his shoulders. I was in the locker room at Dirty Boxing cornering Rob Perez, and Andre Arlovsky was back there hitting mitts, and the fucking ground was shaking every time he hit the pads. Boom, boom, boom. And I can hit the pads pretty hard. But this dude, I was like, and I'm not scared of nobody. I'm not scared of anybody, but I was like, nope, not fighting this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like this dude's a bad son of. And then same thing when I met Ben for the first time. I was the first person to interview Ben Rothwell when he got to BKFC. I'm standing right next to him, and I'm just like, nope, I'm retiring or going to 205. Huh. Like I'm not getting, and I put Ben's fist up to my head, and it was the same size as my head. So that's gonna be next.
And
Is
that's
gonna
another
be
thing. Andre, they have the same size hand. They're like I think they're both like 34 inches or something like that.
so now I'm seeing Andre Arlovsky versus Perdermo. And now here's the cool thing about this fight. If that happens, it's gonna definitely be in Miami because Arlovsky lives down there in Boca. Perdermo's based in Miami. That's going to be another main event, probably. I'm gonna say July. Let's see. Let's see what their card. I'm saying they're gonna. Nah, Arlovsky's not gonna be ready by then, so it could be October, November. But if they got that, Perdermo asks for that, it's gonna happen. Now, I talked to Arnold Adams, and Arnold Adams told me
yes, because he's still he's been a little quiet the last year.
Now he told me he was thinking about going to 205. So off record, he told me that. So I'm gonna just say that if that was to happen, that would be a bad man at 205. He would be bad.
Watch him and Hunt do it at 205.
There you go. Oh man, there it is. So you got to see, those are the things that are going to blossom up. You just hit it right on the head. And then 205,
that makes the most sense, right?
Yeah, that and
I know Lorenzo wants to get paid and he wants big fights right now. I really do get that. He's got the momentum going. He's been the real king of violence of bare knuckle, not the fake little belt thing that Perry's been running around with. He's been the real king of violence. Let's be honest. And I have no skin in this game. He's not my boy. He's not somebody I've covered, interviewed, or anything like that. You can't, anything he's has said even over the last week. Tell me where the lie is. Outside of the fact that he said he was going to put Mundell in the hospital. Outside of that. But I mean, he ain't wrong when he's sitting there saying Mike Perry ain't a real champion. He's not a real champion. He's been running from Mundell for almost 2 years now.
So it was 2012. All right, real quick. I'm going to go back. It was 2012. I had just started doing amateur MMA events here in Florida. And I online would matchmake online. I'd go on Facebook or something and I'd be like, hey, anybody want to fight? Hook it up. Well, I got an email from a dude in Jacksonville by the name of Lorenzo Hunt. I'll fight. I want to fight. I'll do it. I said, okay. So I got him his first fight. It was in Newport Richey, Florida. He drove all the way from Jacksonville, which is about a 3-hour drive. He came with his dad and everyone. And his first fight, and he won. And the crowd loved Lorenzo because he started talking trash. He was doing the Conor McGregor walk, and my small town crowd loved Lorenzo. So I had to get him on my second card. So I got him on my second card, and he's on his way from Jacksonville to the weigh-ins, and his opponent pulls out. And I call him and I say, Lorenzo, your opponent pulled out. I don't know what to tell you. He goes, well, big boy, I sold a bunch of tickets. The people are following me. I ain't turning around, and I ain't telling them that I ain't fighting, so you better find me an opponent. I'm on my way. And I'm like, all right. So I got like 2 hours to find this guy an opponent. Well, one of the jiu-jitsu coaches by the name of, we call him Joe Boxer. His name is John Lewis. He's a black belt under Gracie Baja. He goes, oh, is that loudmouth dude from last event? I said, yeah, it is. He goes, I'll fight him. And I'm like, and so me and my partner look at each other like, oh, Lord, that's a black belt. We can't afford to have Lorenzo lose. I'm like, Lorenzo ain't going to take it. Let me call him. And I call Lorenzo up and I go, Lorenzo, I got you an opponent. He goes, good. I go, but I got to tell you something. He goes, what? I go, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He goes, I don't care. I'm going to knock him out. I said, all right. Well, we're going to do it. So I gets there, weighs in. The next day is the fight. The bell rings. I'm sitting there. I mean, remember now, this is amateur. Lorenzo's my golden ticket. He's my Elvis. This guy, I don't want him to lose. Lorenzo goes out. I swear, the video, you can find it. It's on Fightrepreneur, whatever. I'll find it and I'll post it for you. I'll get a link. Lorenzo hits this freaking dude in the head, this black belt. The dude does a backflip, literally does a backflip after Lorenzo hits him. And Lorenzo just goes to beating the out of him until the ref stops the fight. That right there, I was up in the hotel room that night. I had rented the whole floor of this crack hotel. So when I do my MMA events, Lorenzo, he'll justify all of it, everything I'm saying. When I do my MMA events, I rent the whole floor, the whole top floor. And so I'm standing up on the top floor. Lorenzo's downstairs shadow boxing the night out, or the day of the fight, or day after the fight. I don't remember. And I look down at him. I go, hey, man, you're going to be a fucking champion one day. You know that, right? He's like, I hope so, big boy. And I followed his career. I match made him all the way through the amateurs, all the way to his first pro fights, all the way up into giving him as a hug the other day at the weigh-ins. So he's definitely a story. He's another Cinderella story. You know, he's the good old American way, and I'm just very proud of what he's become. So
Yeah. Getting back into some of these fights, let's kind of go through this, right? Obviously, we were talking about it beforehand. Is the fact that Patty Sullivan got starched again,
oh my
this
god.
time by an MMA veteran. Everyone has a few different names for him. Charles Felony Bennett, who at the time was 1-23 out of his last 4 fights, and he absolutely put a whooping on the Irishman Patty Sullivan. How excited are you to see one? Because I think if memory serves me, I think it was last time Felony had fought in BKFC was 5 years ago. Five
Yeah.
years ago, knocking off the rust and knocking out the hometown kid. Like we're talking about stories, right? There's another one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, Felony, listen, with Felony, I go way back with him. I go back to his Pride days. He was training with us in Ocala. He's been a showman his whole career. Like this man has the attitude of he's just having fun doing it. And I think that's where the 1 in 25 lies. And a lot of people were saying, you know, should Felony stop fighting? We saw him do the bare knuckle MMA. We saw him go back overseas and do some more MMA. We saw him do some that
I
I
just
think.
think he'll fight anyone. He doesn't care what their record is, who they are, where the background.
Nah,
Like he'll fight anybody.
he don't care. He doesn't care. And but him, fortunate for him at his age and at his time in his career, getting that win was probably securing another fight in his career because they made a rule on the unified rules that if you have a boxer BSR on BoxRec over 4, mean boxing severity indexes, meaning how many times you've been TKO'd, how many times you've been knocked out, the commissions aren't going to approve you. And if you have 3 TKOs in a row, they almost 9 times out of 10 won't approve you. So for him to get that win, now that solidifies him for 4 or 5 more fights, and we're going to see him some more. So I'm hats off to Charles for doing that. I'm very proud of him. He's always been an inspiration. He's a hell of a showman. And man, what's next for Sullivan though? How do you pick up from
I
there?
already, I said it. Listen, again, hometown kid. I get it. From what I was explained when Patty first came to bare knuckles, he's a hockey guy, right?
Yeah,
So why don't you just put him at BKFC ice?
there you go. That's what they need to do.
I mean, look,
Ice
every time
Wars.
he's been given a semi decent opponent, he's been starched.
Yeah, yeah,
And
like yeah.
it's nothing against Patty, regardless of what I heard a bunch of stories he was dealing with this medical thing and this medical thing, and he still took the. Like, I get that, but you still have to control your performance, and he wasn't in that. He wasn't in either one of those fights. Any one of the last 2 Knucklemanias, he wasn't in it.
Who did he beat? He beat Kane Tomlinson?
No,
No,
Kane knocked
he
him out the
beat
last
Peterson.
Knucklemania. It was the one in
Yeah.
between the
Yeah, yeah,
he's had
yeah.
3 bare knuckle fights. He came back. I think he did one of the fight nights here and won.
Oh, he beat an 0-2 guy. Yeah, he beat
See,
an
this
0
is what I
one
mean.
guy.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying this. Listen, if the BKFC decides to give him another fight, they give him another fight. I think if I'm them, I use what cachet he has and kind of lend it to lend it to Ice Wars.
What was that weight? 135 or 45?
I'm
I
not
think
sure what the
I
weight because
think that was
they don't
yeah.
they don't want to ever really put it out there like that. They just say what weight class it is.
Yeah, featherweight. So that was 45ers. I'd actually got a couple opponents in mind for him. There's a couple losers. Like that Danny Pettit kid's a loser who's got 1-2. That's a good match for him. I know Chachi Versace's 125, 135, but that's a good match for Chachi. You know, I think there's some good. I mean, here's the situation. There's levels to this stuff. And obviously Sullivan has a level, and his level isn't quite Felony Bennett, and his level isn't quite Kane Tomlinson Jr. So we got to figure out where to match him and where to he'll make good fights. But if he's a quitter, then it's on him. But yeah, man, I think I think he's gonna have to go to the drawing board. That's what I think.
He needs if I'm him, I put at least a good 6 months of training in before I get back in there again. That's just me.
Yes.
I like again. I'm not a fighter. I'm no expert or anything like that. But I've seen enough fights. I've seen enough guys go in there and taking fights they don't need to be taken. I kind of feel like he needs to find his level up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What I didn't watch the Brendan Meyer fight actually. It's the one fight I didn't watch.
Oh, the rematch.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one.
Where is it? Where is it?
I'm looking at it now. But Brandon Myers always came to fight. I mean, he's a good showman too, but he's another one that there's levels, you know. But
Yeah,
I didn't see this one, so I don't know how
I
he did
talked to
against
I
Montana.
ended Brendan beforehand. Great kid. You know, Montez is a Will Martinez guy. He was undefeated. Brendan, gave him his first professional loss when he
Oh,
when Brendan knocked him out at the last Knucklemania, and they ran it back this time. And I seen him after the fight. And he was just like, listen, he's like, I'm not taking anything away from him. I was dealing with a lot of stuff at home with my personal stuff. I'm not going to use that as an excuse. He did his job. He did his job tonight. He's just like, it wasn't my night. I wasn't there. I just try to put on a show for the fans and do what I normally do. So,
yeah.
and he said privately to me that they're probably going to run it back a third time.
Wow, they're gonna do a trilogy on it. And it's tied 1-1 right now, right?
Yeah, knock out a piece and knock out a piece. But I think
Oh,
Brendan knocked him out in the first round, and
he got
Montez
in the
knocked him out in
second.
the second round. So
And
yeah,
Cody Russell, we knew he was gonna dominate that kid. That
yeah,
was
yeah. I think
no
the
fucking
Golden
way.
Ticket kid had a great night. He had a great night. This one, right?
Oh no, that guy. Oh yeah, listen. Yeah, that dude is one of your guys, right? That's Philly.
He actually,
That's
he
the
no,
go.
he's the Jersey guy.
Oh, he's
He's
the
the
golden
Jersey guy, and
ticket
he was
winner.
not. He stopped the Philly boy.
Oh shit,
So
that sucks.
technically, I mean, he is one of our guys because Jersey's like our direct neighbor, right?
Right, right.
But I mean, I was rooting for him. He's one of the guys that got the golden ticket at the tryouts. I wonder if we see him on that Fight Club tournament because that was his first
Yeah,
fight.
that's see, and that's what now that's a good point that you brought up. I'm glad you brought that up. That's where I'm going with this levels stuff. So that's where they're gonna separate the levels, and they were currently doing that recently. It was toe the line. They were trying to separate the levels, and that's what you got to do is because you can't just go in. Some guys got MMA fights always going to do bare knuckle because 9 times out of 10 they lose their first bare knuckle fight.
Yeah,
I was fortunate enough that I won my first bare knuckle fight, lost my second, then won my third. But by the third time, I knew what to expect. You know what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
fucking chaos in there. However, with that fight league, they're going to do with that knuckle club fight club, they're going to be able to take these losers.
Not just basically what Dave said is it's either they're a debut or they have one fight. They're trying
Right.
to grow the next star is what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and notice those first three fights had 3 rounds. Did you notice that the first three fights of the Knucklemania only had 3 rounds? Even Lex was saying at the end of the third round, "I thought there was 5 rounds." So these guys for some reason weren't even told they were only fighting 3 rounds. They
Yeah,
were.
and I found it weird that they did it to I'm gonna pull it up here to Oxidine and
Yeah,
Travis because
yeah, yeah,
these
yeah,
guys are veterans. Both of
yeah,
these guys, Travis is one of the OGs. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
Josh isn't a stranger to bare knuckle. So why would you have them do a 3-round fight?
I don't know why they did that. That's
But
weird.
I mean, first and foremost, hats off to Josh Oxidine, dude. Seriously,
Good stuff.
because coming from BYB with the smaller ring and the Trigon
Yeah,
to coming here to the BKFC ring, a lot more room to move around, use his footwork. He looked like he was absolutely outclassing Travis Thompson, and that is not an easy thing to do.
yeah. No, and he's doing his little merengue dancing, rangatone dancing. I'm
Yeah,
sure he
yeah,
pissed Feldman off, but Feldman hates that shit, but you know what? It's
Yeah,
part of the show.
but he wasn't he wasn't overly showboating. He was
Yeah,
getting in his feelings. You know what I mean?
it's
He was.
part of it, man. That's what it's a
It
showman.
is, especially when you're getting off the way Josh was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I get why Dave gets mad. Like you could be doing that and you could finish the fight, right?
He damn sure does get mad about it.
I can
Sullivan.
get why, because
Oh,
that
here this
kind
is
of thrills the fans. That's what kind of that's what gets fans excited to want to be to watch that guy fight again.
right.
So it's like I get why Dave gets irritated, but at the same time, there's a reason why fans like to do that. Now you talk Kane Thomason, so we obviously got
Oh God, I don't even want to fucking feed into this one. Jesus
so
Christ.
he self-admittedly said it was a terrible performance. He did not like the fight. Um, he said, and I agreed, anytime that he touched Kane sat down. I agree with that. Anytime he would get a combination off, Kane would take a knee.
I'm
They need to
firing
do
both
something with
of
the
them.
ruling. If a guy is consistently do that, they just stop the fight.
I'm firing. I mean, if I'm Feldman right now on that fight, Kane Tomlinson Jr. is gone. I'm firing him. I'm taking him out of the. He's getting dropped. And then the cannoli kid is gonna get tested next.
Well, he's been asking for it. He said at the post-fight press conference he's been begging Dave Feldman since the last Knucklemania for a step up in competition. That he wants contenders. He wants a top 10, top 15, top 5, whoever.
Where is this
He's like, I don't
kid?
care what the level is. I want to get to that next level. I want to rank contender.
There it is. So
And what was he
Garbarino.
talking about? Was he talking? I think he was talking about Sanchez at the press conference.
So he's a middleweight. So yeah, Sanchez will fucking destroy that kid. There's no fucking way.
Then listen.
I don't know though, man.
This is a eat or get eaten league, man. If Johnny loses, Johnny loses. So that's
I
a way
don't
for
know
him to go
about
back
that
to the
one.
drawing board and rebuild up. If Chris, if
He is 4-0 now, so he can afford to lose one, but that's a tough fight for him. The way he moves around, Sanchez is going to walk him down and eat that ass up. I think for that middleweight fight, man, this kid, I want to see John get tested too. Sanchez might just be a little too much. But that is a good fight. You're right. That Sanchez will love that matchup for sure. I like that
and I
fight.
think Johnny deserves that billing. Get let him and Sanchez headline the next fight night here in Philadelphia, and
Yeah.
and see what happens.
Or you put him against Joe Elmore. Joe Elmore won that fight against
Man,
Rickman.
you trying to get me upset because Joe's a guy like fans love,
Joe
media
needs a
loves. Like
win, bro.
he's just the most real, genuine dude you ever meet. Like there's nothing fake about Joe.
No, I love Joe. He
And
needs a
he
win
just
though.
the first thing that comes to mind, he speaks it. And that's like you just gotta love that about a guy like that. Had the pleasure to interview him beforehand. He's actually getting to is creating action figures for bare knuckle. So,
Joe
if
deserves a win.
anyone catches this, make sure you go reach out to Joe. So you guys all get connected and start getting some of these action figures. That's the only thing that BKFC is missing is memorabilia. They
Yeah,
don't
we
have
had
action
it. There
figures,
was a
they don't
couple
have sports
things came
cards and
through
stuff like
back.
that. What's that?
They had a couple beta tests come through back in the day, and at one point they even had like an interactive. When I fought for BKFC, we had to sign this thing where they had an interactive, like they had like a little action figure of you and all this, but it never fell through. It was always back when I was fighting with the BKFC, they were transitioning so much. Like I saw like 3 or 4 different investors come through that company before Feldman actually got it down packed. So they've tried so many different things, but when it comes to Joe Elmore is one of those fighters who have single-handedly carried BKFC on his back. He's one of the guys who have carried that canoe on his back. Travis Thompson, Reggie Bennett, or yeah, what's his name? Is that his name? Yeah, Elvin Brito, Jim Allures. These guys were the guys who their first shows. These were the dudes fighting Lorenzo and Joe. And Joe Elmore going now. He's 2-5. And he's every fight is a decision that could have gone either way.
Yeah, like
So
it's something we talked about before, and like two of his losses probably should be wins. One of them, he took over in the UK,
I think he won the other night.
guy, all that stuff, and he's lost in these majority decisions. I thought that the final 3 rounds, Joe found his range against Mike, and he was putting them things on him. Now,
I thought he
granted,
won.
Mike had the big body shot knockdown. Joe's fucking scrawling around on the ground like somebody hit him with a taser, right? But he gets up and not just survive the round. Like he started giving it back to Mike. So it's one of those things. I felt that Joe very well could have won the last 3 rounds of that fight. But we don't do it off of damage, and one of them had it a draw. I wouldn't have been. I seen a thing like Frank Mir was sitting there saying combat sports needs to have more draws, more incentive for these guys to stop.
Yeah,
and I agree with that. I think if you feel like it's an even fight, make it a draw. Make it a draw. Are the fans going to be happy? No. But it's going to give that fighter a reason in the back of their mind why they don't want it to get to the end of the round.
Joe landed more punches the entire fight. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like I felt that he won the final 3 rounds. And then you look at Joe's face, and then you look at Mike's face, and tell me that Joe that Joe lost that fight. Joe have a cut, yeah, but he didn't look like the dude from Big Trouble in Little China. And I love Mike Richmond. Mike Richmond's one of the OGs. Like, yo, I got a pair of gloves from Mike from his Bellator days when he was fighting at 135 pounds, hanging on my wall. So I mean, Mike Richmond is he's an OG warrior, man. From the Bellator tournament days to being one of the main attractions here in BKFC. So I definitely got to give him his love.
I fought the first bare knuckle fight that Richmond ever had. I was on the same card. It was Valor. He fought. Who did he fight? Oh, he fought fucking JC Lamas. And JC Lamas quit. He got headbutted, he said, and Mike stuck him. And he quit. So Mike's fight got put in no contest. But let me tell you something about that night. That night we had Sukajuru or whatever. We had Mighty Mo Sliga, Mark Godbeer, Estevan Payan, Ishii Smith, LeVar Johnson, James McSweeney, Mike Richmond, Josh Dreyer, and me. And I was the first fight. And this was like BKFC only had like 3 events. So back in the locker room, I'm standing there with all these legends. Whatever this Sudoku guy, he was real famous. And Mighty Mo Sliga, and they're all standing there, and no one knows what to expect. And I'm the first fight, so they're all like slapping me on the ass, going, "Go on out there, big boy, go out and so I went out there and beat the shit out of my guy. And when I came back, my heroes, these legends, were like, "Fuck yeah!" Mike Richmond was like, "Fuck yeah, big boy!" And our locker room that night fucking beat everyone's ass. And it was crazy. It was one of the coolest things ever. And so shout out to Richmond. He's one of the OGs. I love where this sport's going. I love where the family of the bare knuckle, the lifestyle's going, and it's exciting. And then we get our female fighters.
Yeah, you're literally reading my mind because that's the one I was about to go with next.
I've seen these 2 girls build. I've seen them from the beginning.
Crystal Pittman, is an absolute warrior, but Masan Wong should definitely be getting ready to get another crack at that title because that was an impressive performance. After the fight, she didn't even look like she was in a fight. That's how well she was slipping, juking, and jiving, my friend. So
no, she didn't. Listen, not only are these 2 chicks incredibly beautiful, but do they have some good boxing technique? Both of them, yes. Crystal Pittman was overwhelmed this time by Jod. Jod knew what to do. She adjusted herself from the last fight. She's a smart fighter. She's got a pedigree of martial arts, and she's been around the block as well. So I think this fight was great. I also love the fact that they spanked each other. I thought that brought it.
They were so fun with it. Like some people, like when you get away, it's like everything's tense and the littlest thing. Like I thought the funniest thing it took her like 10 minutes to get her fucking pants off to get on
I
the
love it. They're good girls,
But I
and
mean,
I
like
can.
they had the whip, and they're beating each other with the whip, and
Crystal
smiling,
has
taking
come a
pictures.
long
So it's like
ways.
it's one of the few rare things where you see the combatants that are that welcoming, and then can immediately turn it. And I think that's what's special sometimes about women's combat sport is sometimes there is real animosity. There is, but
Yeah.
we see this more playful side from the women than we do with some of the guys.
Yeah. No, and I like, I saw some comments on the live chat a couple times about, and it was from the the competition companies fighters, and they're like, oh, they're just letting anybody dress up and play cosplay on their walkouts. You know what? I like that. I like the showmanship. I like the juggernaut. I like the fucking
I
costumes.
don't.
I like it.
When it comes to that, when it comes to fight night and them kind of pointing finger, I don't pay attention to what either one of them has to sit there and say because you have too much skin in the game to sit there and like you want to critique every little thing. There's things I can critique about you guys. I just don't. I don't play that
Bro,
game.
I have
I
never
got much
seen.
respect for Mike Vasquez and what they do, and I respect what they've done to grow their brand, but they're not holding the candle to what bare knuckle fighting championships doing right now, and it's not a knock
Yeah.
on BKB or what Mike's done or what anything they've done. They've done more than well for themselves. It's just what BKFC's done with the branding side and what the athletes are doing.
Yeah.
All right,
It's different.
take the fact that we've even talked about like you're trying to not do as much stuff with bare knuckle. Take all that aside, right? Can you name me five world champions from BYB right now or
Right.
BKB?
Right.
Like
I like what Mike and them have done with continuing to keep that brand alive. Like I am very respectful for the persistency they have on keeping that brand alive. And I think that what they have is something that Dada brought from the backyard. It is unique, it is okay, but it's not evolved. And where I see that sport going, I just don't see it when I work with them. I respect them. If my fighters want to go fight on their card, I definitely support them. However, I don't see that promotion having a future as far as maximizing their exposure for fighters.
um
I just don't see it.
I've been making this comment for a few years now. I think the smartest thing Mike could do is ask Dave for a tournament UKFC Pride style.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
but you
if you
got
do
to cut.
UFC Pride style tournament, do it like do it once every 2-3 years or something like that. Come up with a weight class where you guys can both do like a co-op promotional type thing, and kind of find a way. Like maybe you learn maybe they learn a little something when they come in and do something like that. I
I
just think it
think
would be unique, but I think the problem would be like one revenue sharing and two the ring difference. I think
I just don't see it. I just
I
listen.
agree. I look at it. I don't think it'll ever happen. But if I'm them, that's something I would try to do.
That last fight that I watched with Trey Martin and Bobby Taylor, and that was just, and everyone says, "Oh, it was such a great fight." Oh God, wow, both guys were so beat up and bloody. No, man, that circumference or that triangular space of that. This is physics. All right, there's a 1, 2, 3 step in boxing. There's angles you cut. Because they couldn't fit the big ring in the venue, they made that ring extra small to fit in the venue. By doing that, it just created a bloodbath, is all it was. There's no sport in that. My friend Martin Brown's been fighting with me for 20 years. His hands are like the best hands in the gym down here in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
For him, and Bobby, don't not take anything away from Bobby. Bobby's tough. They fought a good fight before. But to stand there and to take that much punishment on your face, I just couldn't watch it. And I just couldn't watch Bobby get beat and handled. And there was no running away. There's no getting out of that triangle. Once you get pinned up into that corner, it's over. And so I don't know, man. I just feel like it cuts the competition. I think it's a totally different sport. I
But
don't look at
I agree. And
BYB
then,
and
like I
BKFC.
said, and look what Josh Oxidine look but average when he was
Yeah.
there in BKB. Then you put him in the BKFC ring this past weekend, and he absolutely trouses Travis Thompson.
Let me tell you this: if you put Andre Arlovsky and Ben Rothwell in that triangle, where would you put the fucking referee?
You
Andy
go old
Glenn ain't
school.
going in that
Remember what
bitch.
they said they were going to do with with John McCarthy, the first UFC, put him like on a on a lifeguard's chair or something. You could throw a towel in.
Yeah, that's it, because they're too big. So just like these your big heavyweight guys, fucking Pat Brady and Bear Hill the other night. Those are
Yeah,
some
that
big
was
son of a bitches. And man, I'm gonna tell you what, BKFC introducing Bear Hill. Bear Hill put on some fucking fight now.
yeah. I
Pat did
mean, they
too.
were
Pat's
both
a
undefeated.
motherfucker, but
Obviously we'll get into this. Pat retiring in front of his hometown fans. He's about to be 42 years old. I can't say I didn't see it coming. I just thought we'd probably get one more out of Pat. That was just my personal opinion.
that's what I
But
did. 42. Pat's right. That's the exact same thing I did. I retired at a big show at 42 years old. Your body just, it's not
but
even just your body, it's your mind at that point too. Because when your body starts failing on you at that age, you start losing your mojo because you start feeling like it's always going to be broke. And that's where I'm at now at 45. I can hard like after this weekend, I hurt my hip and all that commotion and all that commotion of me wheeling my suitcase around Philadelphia. I hurt my hip. I couldn't hardly walk, and I don't know what I did. It might have been when I got home. I don't know, but it's like phantom pains come out of nowhere.
yeah, but Bear Hill arrived.
Yeah, that kid is
That
tough.
fight was big for Pat Brady, but Bear Hill basically showed like it don't matter how big, how strong they are. He and Pat, I don't know if it looked like a couple different times like
Dude,
Pat had finished the fight, but Bear was just like, yeah, I might have gotten dropped. I'm on my knees, but I'm still here. I'm still in the fight. I'm not done. Come on and bring me some more, big boy. And I did try to get an interview with him before the fight just because I thought it was a great matchup before we even got to it. But Bear definitely marked his spot there. I'll be interested to see who they match him up with next, more than anything, because that's one tough SOB right there. Being able to take that beating from Pat Brady that we've already seen what he did to Zach at Knucklemania 5, right? And he broke his hand again, by the way.
Pat did?
Yeah, Pat broke his hand again.
Well, he threw, so it says Bear threw two punches more than him, and Pat threw 375 or 376. Bear threw 378. Pat landed 223, Bear 213. So those are two dudes with two cow size heads. No offense, but those are big dudes. I was standing next to both of them at weigh-ins, especially Bear. Bear's a little bit taller than Pat, but Pat gains that in width. Now, those two boys not only showed resilience, but they went into deep water together. Those last rounds, they were both fucking gassing. Feldman knew that. And that's why those boys got awarded. And I got to be honest with you. I am a Bear Hill fan now. I am a
Yeah, Joe, that
100%.
fight gave me chills, brother. Like it was one of those things where it's like that that's a special fight right there.
Yeah, that was a good
Like
one.
those are special guys, and there's a reason why they got ancillary bonuses for that fight. And not just that, I'm also glad that they both decided to donate to men's mental health awareness with those ancillary bonuses. It's those
Yeah.
rare fighters, but rare men.
Hey, listen, we know, it's ironic because we knew what I was going through the day before.
Yeah,
So when Pat said that, it did bring a little tear to my eye.
yeah,
And I'm going to go to this one next. I'm going to tell you something that I ain't told nobody. And when all this went down the other day with the drama, and I got out of here, I got a phone call from someone very special. All right, so I'm sitting in the terminal. I'm having to go home. I just threw away my credit. I can't go to Knucklemania to go see my boys. I can't be with my boy Steve, so I'm all upset. And all of a sudden, my phone rings, and it's someone I would have never expected to call me, FaceTime me, and it was the most hated man in combat sports. And the most hated man in combat sports answered the phone. He goes, "What's going on?" and he saw in my eyes. I had just met him that morning at weigh-ins. I shook his hand. He asked me what my real name was, and I don't tell anyone my real name. But he calls me and he talks me down, talks me up, asks me what happened, gets the rundown, tells me if I need somewhere to if I need help or anywhere to stay, and I don't want to fly home to come, and it was just amazing. And so at that point I really didn't. The only thing I knew of Lex was leading up into this fight, the research I did because I was obviously contracted to corner against him. So I did a lot of research. I looked up his fights. I did everything I could. I had a game plan. Unfortunately, so I didn't get contract didn't go through on me cornering that fight, so I became a Lex Ludlow fan real quick. Now,
I
when
mean,
Lex called,
I can't say I blame him with that, but
hey, when he
Lex,
called, he's a good dude, man.
special dude, man. Just
Yeah.
like
And so we get to see Lex come down from heavyweight and go to 205. And I'm going to tell you something personally. For a heavyweight, I fought 205 one time my whole career. It was the hardest cut I ever made. I looked like a crackhead. I looked like just one big bobblehead. But I'm a bigger heavyweight. I'm a little bigger than Lex and those guys.
mhm.
So Lex gets to 205. He goes against this guy who's known for having a hard head and wins by getting hit in the head. Lex takes him into the third round, beats the shit out of him, but shows
Yeah,
composure.
Lex looked really good. Like
Look at these uppercuts he's landing. At one point, he knocked the snot out of this
yeah,
asshole.
yeah,
Like this this guy has lost his last 3 fights. He's fucking not ready to fight anymore. Look
nope.
at him. He's a fucking mess. Get him off of there. Put him in Ice Wars. Go get him the fuck out of there. I don't know what to say, but Lex humiliated this dude. This dude doesn't. We saw Bobo humiliate him 5 years ago. We've seen him win a couple B-side fights, but now they tested him at 205 with Lex Ludlow, and Lex Ludlow comes out Philly strong. And I'm gonna tell you what, as far as the most hated man in combat sports. I don't like that name. I disagree with it. I'm offended when I hear that because his opponent's the one that should have had that name. Lex is the grizzly bear, and he mauled that fucking shark this weekend, and I'm very
Yeah, he
proud of
did.
him.
I mean, listen,
Shout
I
out to
couldn't have been
Lex.
more impressed with him. Like, obviously, like if people don't know though Lex's story. Like, he was. We were talking about that mental side, man. He had been in depression real bad, blown up to 300 plus pounds,
Mm.
and over the past few years, he's just been getting down and getting down and getting down. And I knew he wasn't going to have a hard time cutting the cruiserweight when he told me. Like he basically he was on this network when he said like, "Oh, we ain't heavyweights. We fight in a cruiserweight for this fight. So I'm officially a cruiserweight." And for his debut at cruiserweight, you couldn't ask for a better start to it. I mean, I still feel like I think at halfway through, one of the things I think I agree that he thought it was going to be 5 rounds.
Yeah.
But I also felt he was pacing himself that way. That's kind of why it looks like he let him off the hook a bit. But I mean, not knocking the literal snot out of Zach's face, and I thought they probably should have stopped it there. But I guess Zach still had his faculties about him to the point where the referee thought he was still able to continue. But it's going to be interesting to see what's in store next for Lex. Another one of these guys, I feel that I know I said Johnny should headline one of the next fight nights. If it's not Johnny, it needs to be Lex.
Yeah, no, Lex is there. We found out Lex is. I think the sky's the limit for them. Lex should be getting ready for the likes of guys like Lorenzo because that's the style of fighter I saw the other night. On the other hand, his opponent. Listen, this is where we're talking mental health. We're talking all this, and all I'm going to bring up is we've got to start. We've got to start laying boundaries out as promoters and matchmakers. We have to stop pretending that all these character flaws in fighters, they're often neurological, all right, and they're chemical consequences of being hitting the head too much. We got to stop enabling destructive behavior, and it starts with everyone around it being aware. If there's one thing I hope people take from this, it's that that when you have unchecked damage on these fighters who are taking a lot of shots to the head, that can be consequential. That can hurt their families and their lives, and it can hurt the face of the promotion. So we saw a few times where Lex was making full contact 1-2, 1-2, and this guy was just smiling. Listen, those shots are not going unanswered. He might not be showing them right then, but he's going to show them 5, 6 years from now. So I think personally, this guy needs to probably stop fighting, maybe be a mentor, maybe find some kind of other challenges in life, and even take up, I don't know, figure skating. I don't know, but that shit was sad. I'm sorry, and Lex, no, nothing short of perfection performance for Lex, but man, I would have liked to seen 2 more rounds of that.
I mean,
Anyways,
I'm sure that's a little personal, but I also agree with you with the Zach isn't the same fighter he was. I know I know that the promotion was hyping him up. He's a tornado of chaos, all this other crazy. But I didn't
Zach
see
Calamus is mass chaos. That's what Cyrus
mass
said.
chaos. All right. Well, I didn't see mass chaos Saturday night. I saw a guy that was a pincushion. That was a punching bag.
That's what he's been for
Lex
the past.
I didn't even see any marks on Lex after the fight.
No, I
So
don't think so. And here's the thing. The guy is mass chaos behind closed doors. If you saw the way this guy talks to his fucking wife, the way he talks to his father, the way he abuses people, the way he talked to me, I have a 14-minute video that I'm going to release eventually. For right now, I don't think I'm going to do it. But I have a 14-minute video of this dude, and the way he talks to people and the way he talks about people, it's just, in my eyes, he either deserves a fucking prison cell or a hospital bed. But that's not my choice, because God says I gotta love you, but he doesn't say I have to like you. So I pray for him, and I think my biggest flaw in people, and I'm gonna leave with this because I gotta get going, Steve. I think I'm one of the more caring people in the world because I always see the good in others. And the reason why I do that is because I know the bad in myself and I hate it. I run from the bad in myself. Just like the other day when I was triggered, I don't like it. It resurfaces feelings, it resurfaces things that hurt. So when I meet someone and I do see that little bit of bad in them, but then I see that good, I'm always chasing that good behavior in them. So that's why I made that post that if I hadn't known anyone longer than 10 years, if you weren't in my inner circle, it was not against anyone. It was just a boundary set and an actuality for me to understand myself better. I love this sport. I think this Knucklemania was kind of cursed from the beginning for me, if you know what I'm saying, from all the things from our media, our prior media engagements until our cornerman engagements. But I think it's this: the same pattern shows up in chemical dependency
yeah,
as you do. All right. So when you have someone who's hooked on drugs like cocaine, the example, it creates impulsive behavior. It's disordered thinking, it's paranoia, it's reckless decision making. Well, that's the same thing when these brain traumas. So that person that me and you were dealing with, Steve, a couple weeks ago that we were talking about, and that person I had to deal with the other day, they might not be on the same thing, but they're right. It's the same stuff. So when we can see that, especially in media, then we know we can see this shit coming a mile away. Listen, dude, I want to tell you something. I have created a friend through you over the past 2 weeks, and I am so grateful for you and everything you've done for me and helped me. And I can't wait to talk to you more and more. I got to cut it short because I forgot I had a doctor's appointment, and it keeps ringing through. So I'm going to go try to get my old hip worked on and try to get back in the gym. But listen, I appreciate everything you did for me this weekend. I appreciate you wearing that brand right there. Shout out to our boys, Kaizen. Steve got the package, Mike. Maddie, Mike, Lexi. Steve got the package. He's repping it for us. I want y'all to check out Steve. We're going to get him hooked up. He's going to be a part of Kaizen. He's going to be checking out when we do our fights. He's going to come and cover them. All that good shit, man. I appreciate you, brother.
likewise, man. Go do what you got to do. Appreciate your time today, and
I could have
again,
talked all day,
we'll
bro. I
catch
could
up
have
more
talked
and
to
do it
you.
some more, my friend.
Yeah, my man. Thank you so much.
Anytime, my brother. You have a good one. All right, everyone. That was the one, the only big boy, Mr. Chris Jensen. Always a pleasure catching up with Chris. Covered just about everything. I think there was one or two things that we didn't cover from Knucklemania, but we covered a lot of it. This is our little post-mortem chat, so to speak. So, a great event. Had a lot of ups, had a lot of downs, had a lot of WTF moments, but again, I'll be back in a little bit more than an hour and 40 minutes or so with BKFC Cruiserweight. Esteban Rodriguez, the Mohawk. So, guys, make sure you stay locked in. You make sure you hit those notification bells. Hit that QR code in the top. Make sure you subscribe to South Florida Tribune's YouTube channel. And I got some more cool announcements. Hopefully, like you said, be working a little bit more with Big Boy Chris Jensen, working a little bit more with Kaizen, and we'll see what the future holds. We're going to keep pushing out the fun content, the fun interviews here on the South Florida Tribune. I'm Steve. This was another episode of The Real and the Rare. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Peace out, my friends.